Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. This coming week is going to be absolutely nuts. I don't know how else to describe it other than to say that it is easily the biggest week of earnings for the quarter, and Thursday in particular is just absolutely bonkers in terms of the names reported. It does start off a little bit slower though. Monday before the open, really only one name, SAP. They're looking for about 15 points, although those are monthly options. It's not really a focus of mine. I hardly ever trade it, and I will say maybe it could impact names like a Salesforce or a Workday if the numbers are really strong or really weak. But with the names on the schedule or on the calendar for like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I think I'm just going to leave this one alone. After the close on Monday, so NXPI officially reports. I say officially because they actually guided preliminary sales just a couple weeks ago. They are pricing in 7.5 points though, and if you've listened to these videos before, then you know my rule is that I tend to avoid stocks that guide early, and that's probably going to be my plan here. I mean, I do think it looks solid, and it's just now getting back to its high from earlier in the year. So there could be more upside, but I feel like that my rule has not really treated me wrong. So I want to stick with the rule, and probably going to end up avoiding this one. Maybe look for like a swing trade after the report comes out. Same idea, Twilio. So big software report, but they actually just guided at their investor conference a couple weeks ago, and the stock just went crazy after that. They're priced in at 30 points. So in addition to having already guided, I mean the numbers seem the price that moves seems pretty high. I do like trading this name, and I probably will be focused on this for a trade like right after earnings come out. But respecting my rule, they're already guided, so I'm probably going to avoid specifically for an earnings trade. Okay, before they open on Tuesday, excuse me, kind of like a big industrial slash pharma morning. So 3M, about 9 points is what's expected. It has a decent look to it. ITW just had a real strong report. I feel like if they can deliver, could break through key resistance, but they guided sales in September too. So I don't know what type of move is left in the tank. I mean, I really feel like it's set up for a breakout, but that early guide might actually keep me away from this one too. Although, I mean, I really do like the pattern on this one, more so than Twilio or even like NXPI. Caterpillar. So say about 8 points is what's expected on this. Just been on a really nice run, especially for Caterpillar. Actually had a strong quarter, beat and raised, first time in a while in July. I mean, that's really kind of gotten this rally going here. I feel like this quarter probably going to be solid. I don't know if I'd be expecting a huge move though, based off of what it's done over the last few weeks, or if it's like a real blowout, then maybe you get like like a pop and an extension. But I mean, I feel like it would have to be a very big blowout. Otherwise, I mean, the price to move seems maybe a little bit high to me. GLW, so kind of an interesting one. Right at the top of yearly resistance, and they're pricing in about if I go up ways, they're pricing in about 2.5 or so. They have a pretty good history of moving, and it's pretty consistent too. So this to me seems like one of like only kind of like a handful of setups next week that are actually set up well for volatility strategy. So I look at like a straddle or strangle in that one. And then also before the open on Tuesday, you have Merck, Lilly, Novartis, and Pfizer. So a bunch of big pharma names. I mean, of those four, like Pfizer, to me, most interesting. They're pricing in 2.25, and honestly, the reason why Pfizer is interesting to me has nothing to do with earnings. They're expected to have results from their COVID vaccine trial sometime soon. And maybe if they have it available, maybe it comes out on the day of the report. And in that case, it could be a real big mover. If it doesn't come out, then I don't think I'd be expecting the stock to move as much because I think that so many people are focused on it that the actual earnings and revenues aren't going to be that big of a price driver. After the bell on Tuesday, AMD, this one should be interesting. About 7 points is what's expected here. After Intel's weakness, I think a lot of people are more focused on AMD to see if they were the cause of that weakness, if they were stealing business, right? Had a huge move last quarter, and it's been kind of in like a tighter, choppy range, partially because of that Xilinx takeover. I think the bigger potential is to the upside on this report, regardless of that Xilinx headline, but it might also be a little bit more muted of a move than last quarter. So I think if I didn't do anything with it, I'd have to get something closer to the money, maybe figure out a way to like lower risk, or even like do something like longer term with it. Dexcom, so a little bit less followed name. About 57 to 58 points is what's priced in. Those are monthly options. I mean, I've just been waiting and waiting and waiting for this thing to get going, and it just hasn't moved. And that actually may set up a pretty good pattern into earnings because they've crushed estimates recently, quarter after quarter after quarter, and it does tend to move quite a bit. So I figure like after the long consolidation, I mean, if they can really put together a good quarter, I mean, this might have some room to the upside. So I may look at something speculative on the bull side. Couple solar names. First Solar, which is pricing in 8, and then Enphase, which is pricing in 24. The Enphase is are monthly options, though. And to be honest, I don't really know what to make of solar stocks on earnings because they've had huge runs as a possible play on the Biden, on a possible Biden win. Made a lot of money trading, so it's like First Solar, SunPower, like JKS. So we've had Maxian. I mean, we've had some really nice trades on solar stocks during this move, and I just really can't figure out whether earnings and revenues are going to matter as much right now, with us being so close to the election, and the stocks are up a ton. So I feel like overall, I like trading in this sector, but I don't know if I'm going to trade earnings for this sector just because I think there's other things moving it. So I think I'm going to wait and see and then just focus on swing trade opportunities still here. And then also, after the close on Tuesday, the big name is Microsoft. About 11 points was expected. First of the tech titans to report. My opinion on this, on Apple, on Amazon, Google, even like Facebook, all kind of similar. I'm really expecting solid results from the group, but I just don't know whether the stocks will get bid up and whether the options will pay. I mean, I think that's the big question because there just seems to be a lot of risk-off action in the market, and these names have been kind of heavier recently. I'd be leaning bullish on Microsoft, but at the same time, I am not sure if I'm going to do anything with it. For the open on Wednesday, Boeing. I mean, look at that chart. Just such a tight consolidation. The price in 11 points. Now, if a stimulus deal gets passed, then this could work. If a stimulus deal doesn't get passed, then it's probably going to stay range bound. And that's the easiest way I can summarize my opinion on this. Earnings have not mattered at all to the airlines, and I guess I would be expecting the same thing with Boeing. All comes down to the stimulus package. MasterCard. So about 14 points. That's what's priced in here. Visa reports after the close, actually. AXP just had an unexpected miss, but MasterCard and Visa don't often trade with that one. So it got hit today based off that AXP number, but I'm hesitant to trade this because I haven't had a whole lot of success trading this or Visa in the past few months, but if it can get back through 350, then maybe it can get a little momentum going again. I'm really on the fence, and if the action's not good prior to that, prior to like Wednesday, then I might just leave it alone. If things are moving around, maybe I'll trade it, but I'm really on the fence with this one. UPS. So this will be an interesting one too. About 15 and a quarter is what's priced in. Was just a monster mover last quarter, and it has not stopped. It's not too extended, but it is also up a lot since last quarter, and it's also up since FedEx crushed estimates just recently. So, gotta imagine that expectations were a lot higher this time around for UPS. I would be bullish biased, and I do think that the numbers are pretty good. Um, and then, when you top it off, I mean, you have the holiday season coming up, which probably will mean that the next quarter probably pretty good. The question is, um, in terms of a trade, I feel like may have to be something a little bit longer dated to like smooth out the high priced in options. And I mean, at least then if you're longer dated, like, and it doesn't have a huge move initially, maybe you get to, like, some continued sustained strength like through like the holiday season. Wednesday after the bell, big e-commerce night. So eBay, about 375 is priced in here. This thing just dinged me for a trade, so I'm kind of hesitant to jump back into it. But I thought this was going to act better into earnings. It didn't move a whole lot last quarter, but that's because they guided preliminary numbers in June. It's back here, so that's why it didn't have a big move on the earnings actually last quarter. I do think it's a better setup for a move this time around, and I'd be bullish biased, but I think I might just leave it alone because I just lost money trading it. Etsy. So this has been a name we've been in and out of a few times. 15.5 points was priced in here. Demolished estimates last quarter. Demolished. And the stock was so strong up until just about like this past week, really. I definitely lean more bullish here, especially after last quarter, and you have the holiday season coming up, obviously. So it seems like there's reason to be optimistic. Maybe you get a fast snapback if they can crush it again, because just have like this recent dip off the high. Maybe you get like a fast move back up to the high. Fastly, about 10.25 is what's expected even after this drop. I mean, they really dropped a surprise when they cut guidance. So stock hasn't bounced. I mean, they're still pricing in a real big move on earnings, and I mean, like I said earlier in the video a couple times, I mean, they already guided. So my rule is to avoid. And even if I was looking at it, I mean, the option pricing seems very, very, very high. So I mean, I definitely think I'm avoiding this one. Pinterest. So 8.5 points is what's priced in. I mean, this is even after the run it's had, because it got a big boost on Snapchat's results and a few upgrades too to boot. Expectations are obviously a lot higher now, but they crushed estimates last quarter on their own, so it wouldn't surprise me to see it happen again. Question is, how big of a move does the stock have after it got bid up so aggressively this past week? So I think to play this, you need to focus on options closer to the money. Maybe even get overall risk down if possible. NOW. So big software report, about 35 points was expected. Volatility kind of dried up on this one the last couple quarters, and last quarter actually was mixed. I don't like this setup as much as some other names in the sector, and option pricing does seem a little bit high to me. It will potentially move maybe like a Salesforce and a Workday though, so if I do anything, I might look at like sympathy trades on those two. All right, before they open on Thursday, Overstock. So 12.5 points is what's expected. Interesting because they absolutely crushed it and went like parabolic, came all the way back down. Really hasn't done a whole lot for a month. And imagine the state of e-commerce, that this is pretty solid. They can crush it again. Could be due to wake up. But I mean, they really need to deliver. But if they do, 80s maybe, like even like high 80s, 90, doesn't seem like too much of a stretch. So I might look at something speculative bullish on this one. Shopify, another big name, e-commerce related too. About 80 to 82 points is what's priced in here. It's been very, very quiet basically since the start of July. They have been a big beneficiary of e-commerce, stay-at-home, like online shopping, right? And you have to imagine that their numbers are going to remain strong for the foreseeable future until like shops start to open again. It would not surprise me to see this wake up ahead of earnings, especially after how much they've demolished estimates the last few times. And if it can get through 1150, I mean, you could get a pretty nice pent-up breakout too. So definitely one I lean more bullish on. Spotify. Is priced in at about 25 points. I feel like this is an interesting technical play, but their history of earnings gives me a little pause because they don't really turn in clean reports too often, and last quarter was kind of mixed. I mean, you can see the technical pattern. I mean, it's very interesting, and if they can get through like 295, I mean, it could be a real nice pent-up move higher. and it really could jumpstart momentum that it had earlier in the year. Um, and I know it's more speculative, but option pricing does seem to leave room on this one too, because there's been plenty of times when it's had like big moves. So I don't know. This is more speculative, but I definitely think I lean more bullish on it. All right, after the close on Thursday, the main event. So we'll start off with Google, alphabetical order here. 88 points, give or take, what's expected. Tough setup to me. Option pricing a little bit higher or on the high end. And the stock has been in the news, so you kind of have like headlines, like back and forth, like different risk to it. I haven't traded in a while, and I guess I'm not a huge fan of the current setup. Less so than like an Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft. So I think I'm going to leave this alone. Those other names have been more consistent, better patterns ahead of earnings too. So I think that's where my focus will lie. Activision. So about 4.5 points is what's priced in here. First of the gaming stocks, okay, and that means sympathy trade. So EA, Take-Two, neither of those report next week. So odds are they're going to react to Activision's numbers, and the option pricing should be lower. So sympathy trade potential with EA and Take-Two off of this number. Amazon. 220 or so is what's expected here. I think it should be strong. You have the holiday season coming up, which should be positive. You just had Prime Day, which should be positive. I mean, they had a good quarter last quarter, which should be positive, right? The problem is how high are expectations? Because it seems like everyone and their brother is probably expecting a really good quarter. I do think it's set up well for a rebound, and I think that there is a path back to the high, whether it's next week or a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now. I'm definitely more bullish biased on this. It's just a really tough call because I like the setup, I just don't know if it makes sense to lay out the money for options because expectations are so high. Um, if I don't do anything with before an earnings trade, I might look at something right after an earnings trade, especially if the option pricing drops. Maybe something like a couple months out to go through the holiday season. Apple. So this one's been surprising to me. 7 points is what's priced in. I thought this would get going into earnings. I thought when I woke up, turned the corner, it was going to get going. You had the you had the iPhone unveiling, like the official launch. I thought it was going to get going. And I mean, I just felt like it had the right recipe, but that obviously hasn't happened. For it to really get anything going at this point, I mean, it absolutely has to get back through like 118 area. I mean, you do have the 5G iPhone. You got the holiday season coming up, so I mean, like I said, I would be bullish biased, but this could be like a Tesla where I mean, there's a lot of risk-off action across the market. People a little bit more cautious ahead of the election, and I think that this could be like kind of kept under tabs until after November 3rd or even like that week, until people really want to put money back to work. But I mean, again, bullish biased on it, and I mean, with the holiday season coming up, I feel like there's reason to be like positive going forward. Team. So big name, big software name. Just broke out through long-term resistance. Really kind of lagged for a while. The biggest issue was the pricing at 17 points. I guess the biggest issue I have with this is just that last quarter wasn't particularly good. So I think it's a little bit more of a question mark. But if they can deliver, maybe you get like a nice pent-up move through like 200, sustained move into like the 20s, 30s. So it seems like it has potential, but it's really going to have to deliver. Carvana. So about 24 points is what's priced in here. They already guided sales in September, so you know the drill. They guide sales. They're probably going to avoid. Vroom, CarMax could be sympathy plays, but I think I might actually just wait this one out on all because option pricing seems real elevated. Facebook, big name, 20.5 points, about what's expected here. I feel like this might be the most interesting of the mega cap tech names. I keep thinking this is more concept idea. Like I keep thinking if they can deliver, if it can get through 300 again, start to get a little momentum, that the trillion market cap could really act as a magnet. And in that scenario, the option pricing seems light to me. It's like 350 range, give or take. So there are a lot of uncertainties. I'll acknowledge that. But I also think that there's a lot more potential than some of the other big cap tech names. So I view this more as like a concept, like bullish play. Shake Shack, about 8.5 points, puts priced in here. Kind of interesting setup. It did extend recently out of this consolidation, but it's not too far removed from it. This might be a better quarter because of the reopening of New York City, which is where they're kind of concentrated. And I do think that there's room higher. I mean, you can see when I go back, there's like a pretty well-defined gap too. And Starbucks reports the same night, and I think between the two restaurant names, I like to set up a little bit better, especially as a history of some big moves. Options a little bit pricey though, so might have to like get risk down on those. Like I said, Starbucks also priced it in 4 points, but I think I'm just a little bit more cautious with it. It hasn't been a big move on earnings recently, especially like the big restaurant names. It seem like they keep working their way higher, but they're not really like necessarily like easy trades. So I think I'd focus more on Shack just from like an earnings trade perspective. Twitter. So about 575 is what's priced in. We'll have to wait and see how Pinterest goes because it could move Twitter again. But I mean, obviously you can see it's been very strong after Snap. Last quarter wasn't great though. So that makes me a little bit more cautious on this versus Pinterest. And they've been in the news, not necessarily for the best reasons. I don't know if I'll do anything with it, but under 50, I mean, it is kind of at an interesting level when I go out further because you can see, I mean, through this area, I mean, it really starts to open up a bit. So it is semi-interesting, but also I'm definitely a little bit more cautious on this versus, say, like the Pinterest. All right, wrapping things up Friday morning. So Chevron, about 3.25 is what's priced in here, and then Exxon about $1.60. So both big energy names before they open on Friday. Energy, just in general, kind of woke up this week and started to get interesting for maybe like a little swing trade. I don't think I'd go after either Exxon or Chevron. I think I prefer maybe like something like broad like the XLE. And I think that there's potential for maybe like a little bit of like a near-term rebound, just based off of like what I'm seeing like price action-wise. So I don't know if I'll play Exxon or Chevron, but maybe like look at like an XLE type trade. And then last but not least, Under Armour. So you can see very clearly it's working on like a rebound. They're pricing at $1.75. And after, like this long stretch of underperformance, I think the option pricing could actually be kind of low from like either way, like bullish or bearish, because I mean obviously Nike and Lulu are doing amazing, a lot of athletic apparel doing amazing. So I mean it seems like it has the right recipe, but they have in the past disappointed, and they have in the past gotten hit very, very, very hard when they disappointed. So I think that it's a good pattern for potential volatility strategy, and I think the option pricing leaves a little room. So I might look at Strangle or Straddle on that one. That's it. So it's a crazy week. So many names every single day. It's going to be wild. So rest up, relax, buckle up, get a game plan in place, and let's hope for some good trading. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information on earnings trading with the options or more information on option swing trading, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options to play. I hope you have a wonderful night. Stay well, and I will talk to you all